shows up.
Wait, we're streaming right now?
We're
Is it Monday?
streaming right now. It's Monday.
Oh,
Hi, everybody.
Hold on. I'll look away. Hold on.
All right, everybody get ready. Everybody get ready.
Wait, let me know when we're streaming.
We're streaming now.
We're streaming right now? Okay.
We're streaming now.
Let me know when it's ready.
Josh and Miles, are you ready? Okay. Hi there. Come on in, grab a seat, grab a drink, and let's tell a story together. We are Legendary Resistance.
Inshallah.
It's what's for dinner.
Yes!
Do you know, I
Perfectly timed. That was amazing.
Perfect.
have to say, dramatic pause, just beautifully done.
I went for the pinter pause.
Is that
I was
what that's?
digging deep.
You know, okay.
Well done.
What does
Well
that
done.
mean?
So,
Did you really earn that pause, though?
when last we left our party, they had a rather eventful end of their long, arduous journey across the sea. And it was arduous not nearly so much for the state of the journey itself, but more for the player characters who were so excited to finally get off of these bloody boats. Now they find themselves haunted by a memory that they experienced in this final leg, where they encountered a strange, large tentacled monster that took the captain of the ship that in a short amount of time they had already grown somewhat fond of, and the experience almost took Sebastian himself into the depths, where he would have stayed happy and content serving his new master. However, he narrowly avoided that fate due to a masterful use of her divination abilities by Celeste. That speed bump having been experienced, the party then finally made their way to the grand city of Dalovire itself. They made their way under the magical archway that protects the harbor and scans for all forms of magic and intent. They saw the Silver Wing Guard that protect the city with their flying boots, and they are now docking into the harbor, the Ferthalian docks in the city of Dalovire, looking out at this massive expanse of buildings that are impossible in height, in scope, and grandeur. The ship has shuddered to a halt. You're in Dalovire. What do you do?
I think we're supposed to wait for old girl to tell us what to do, right?
Yeah. Mira.
That's right. So, you guys had been up on deck, though. I mean, because you were watching the city as it slowly got larger and larger and larger. And what you thought was a mirage, or just some sort of a... At one point, you actually thought there was a mountain range behind the city. But now you are right up on it. You are looking at these 5-story buildings that are straight up against where the docks end. And you see these towers, this long row of towers in the distance. You look down the western coast, and as I described last time, you see the cathedral-like structure that you believe to be the last reserve itself. You are, some of you looking, some of you gawking, some of you, well, one of you in particular, not really noticing much out of the ordinary. And Mira finally comes from below. She is clad in a high-necked scarlet dress of impossibly fine manufacture. It's easily the most expensive garment you have seen her wear. When you first met her, she was wearing a simple tavern woman's outfit, for lack of a better term, and now she looks like royalty. She has an elaborate silver necklace that comes down like lace, or even some sort of an icy structure all across her neck, and even rings and a few bracelets clink on her wrists. She turns to you, and two sailors who have been pressed, obviously, into some sort of a courier duty are bringing up these trunks of hers. And she looks at one of them and says, "Go ahead and take it down there. I'll be with you in a moment." And she comes over to all of you, her arms kind of trailing in the air by her sides. We're finally here. You can see that we are serious about fulfilling our part of this bargain. If you have anything below, I would suggest that you fetch them now.
I've already got all my stuff.
Yeah, go pack up my stuff. I'm not wearing one of the super fancy dresses, but I want to look pretty put together. But not, not as fancy as I looked for our meeting.
Right. The rest of you gather your things as well?
I make an exaggerated show of patting down all of the pockets in my, greatcoat. I'm just gonna, make eye contact.
I think all my stuff is already in that bag before we got searched, so.
Okay. Alright, so very quickly, as soon as Celeste comes up with her books, actually at this point you have a little... Do you carry your books in anything in particular?
Me?
Yes.
Like a leather satchel.
Okay. So,
And I think the books are with me because of.
Oh, they
getting
are!
searched.
Yeah, that's
right.
correct.
So you just
That's
go downstairs and then you grab some dresses that you haven't quite put into your packing yet. You get that ready and then you come upstairs and...
I use my new spell of prestidigitation before I go up there to smell fresh.
Okay.
Make my hair tousle a little.
It feels like a small wind kicks up, but it's too tightly wrapped around your form to be natural, and you feel like loose hairs going back into place, and you feel your dress itself kind of straighten a little bit, and as it goes away, you see like a little whirlwind of dust and dirt and salt. You see like little salt grains glistening as it spins in like a little dervish, and then over the edge of the ship and out into the water.
Kind of lovely. And then out of habit, I smooth my dress down anyway.
Yeah. Mira looks at all of you and says, "Wonderful. Just follow me. We'll head down into the city. Please try to stay close." And she walks across the gangplank and steps onto the dock itself. It's a broad stone dock. It's 3 times as wide as the largest docks in Althandis. So, you guys follow her?
Yeah, take a real deep breath and try to calm my nerves. And then settle myself and follow.
Okay. Alright, so you all step down, and as you do, 2 of you realize that this is the first time you've ever set foot on this continent. You walk down this dock, and the moment is ruined by the absolute madness of all the activity and business that happens everywhere. I mean, Diz, you're used to docks and to ports and to... I mean, it is as if, literally, as if every single port you've ever been in was dumped into one place at one time. I mean, you've never seen this many ships. They choke the entire mouth of this river. And there are people running to and fro. There are dock hands hauling these large crates and barrels of all sizes. The air is thick with tar, with wood, pine resin, and of course the smell of the sea and of fish. You look around, and one of the dock hands is about to kind of go past you, and he's got this like small barrel on his shoulder, and he's walking past, and then he says, "Sebastian?"
Who is this person?
So you look at him, and at first you don't really recognize anything in particular about this person, but then, oh yeah, this little spark goes off in your brain, and you realize that you do know this guy. His name is Orrin. Orrin. And he grew up in the same neighborhood as you, ran in the same circles, probably did a few jobs with you back in the day, but nothing serious. You weren't best friends or anything like that. But you haven't seen him in a long time. Sebastian. Is that you?
Hello, Orrin. That's right.
Oh, Mira does not stop, by the way. Mira continues walking.
How trustworthy was Orrin? Like, how? So we weren't super close, but
Same kind of background, same kind of culture. He was as trustworthy as
any of us.
24 people that you know in that area. You know what I mean? Like, you guys all kind of looked after each other.
Sure. Listen, I'm kind of in a hurry now. I might have a line on something. I'll try to find you later.
Oh yeah. All right. Where are you staying? Right. It's good to see you.
Where are you staying?
Oh, still back home. You know. Same.
All right, so I do know where he is, where they used to stay or whatever.
You know the area.
Okay, somewhere in Great Bridge.
Yeah, but I mean, you also know how to find people in Great Bridge.
Great.
All right. So,
Weird.
Well, and at this point, Mira is looking over her shoulder. She narrows her eyes. He continues on, and she hangs back a little bit so that you guys catch up to her. She just continues to look straight forward, but when she's about shoulder to shoulder with you, Sebastian, she says, "That'll be enough of that."
Just her and us?
Yes. So
Whatever do you mean?
that's Wyatt's accent.
It's like a Georgian.
It was a further droll.
Oops. Sorry, I didn't
Me
mean
and Jewel
to hit
looks
that.
All right, so you guys get to the end of the dock.
like just fire them all somebody.
Yep, I just tried to kill someone with a defensive spell. No big deal.
All right, so you guys get to the end of the dock, and you meet the thronging crowd that packs the street that's closest to the dock itself. You see a large main building that must be the customs house for the entire docks. It's a large stone structure with a blue tile roof and a small kind of clock tower that comes out of the center. And Mira looks around and then waves, and a group of men approach you. There are 6 of them, and they're all wearing these kind of severe black uniforms that are somewhere between a military uniform and a servant's uniform. I mean, so they look too fine to be military, like they'd be some sort of like an elite household kind of a servant garb, but the cut of it, the way they walk, they just kind of reek of some sort of a martial purpose. They walk, and then behind them, for those of you who have never been here before, it's a carriage with no wheels. It is floating in the air behind them, and it is twice as long as any carriage you've ever seen.
They're not carrying this?
They're not carrying it. There's no horse. It is floating behind them. And it's a tall black coach that has silver work on the handles, where the driver sits, a beautiful creation, but it is absolutely just floating about 3 feet off the ground.
Okay, I'm gonna see this, and I'm like gonna grab Sebastian's like arm for a minute and be like, okay, so is somebody controlling it, or do they enchant the carriage itself, and therefore it in itself has magical properties? Or does someone have to sit there and follow it and concentrate on it the whole time so that it floats like this? Or is it multiple people that has to do that?
Stop right there.
How loudly are you saying that?
It's just the middle.
Louder than I should.
No one seems to notice or care or hear you. Mira says nothing, but one of these people approaches, and he says, "Milady Mira." She says, "Yes. I believe this is the paperwork you need." And she pulls out from a small bag that she carries with her a scroll, hands it to the gentleman in the front. He opens it and looks at it, nods, and he says, "At your service. It is wonderful to make your acquaintance, my lady. And these are your guests, am I correct?" "Yes, they will be accompanying me." "Wonderful. Have you ever used our services before?" "No. And I'm not really in the mood for a conversation, so if we could get moving, that would be wonderful." At your
Do I
pleasure.
recognize the outfits, the uniforms?
Make a
Like some kind of like mercenary group or something?
make a straight intelligence check.
Street knowledge. 18! I rolled from a 4 onto an 18 this time. So that gives me a 19!
Actually, you have seen these people before. They are... Mercenaries, a harsh description of what they are. They are a security company. So they are their full name is the Free and Loyal Security Company Limited. They are used often by high-class people in the city who can't afford the highest level of protection, but enough to where they have these ultra-secure floating carriages and highly trained professionals that guard it. So one of them moves forward and opens the door and motions. Mira nods her head at the carriage and says, "Go ahead."
I am currently on the ground, like staring underneath this thing, like flat on the ground, like trying to figure out. So I'm like not even paying attention to any of this. So he probably has to like get my attention to get me to move inside.
Make a investigation check.
Yes, something I'm good at with a natural one. Never mind.
Yeah, but could have been good at.
Is it carrying over from last session?
No, we're breaking that cycle, dog. No,
Alright.
no way.
That still makes it a 10. So I'm just saying.
Impressive.
But that was average.
You don't have enough time to get a good look at it. You start to check it out and investigate the area, and all you notice is that the underside is covered in carvings, and you just begin to realize that they're all runes. And are they glowing? And then someone is pulling you back, and it's one of the security guards, not unkindly, but kind of pulling you back, and he says, "Excuse me, sir, you don't really want to be too close to that."
Sorry, yep, you're right. I bet.
I'm going to offer a hand to Celeste to help her up into the carriage.
Take it and then realize that I did and kind of jerk it away. Like, oh, thanks.
Thanks.
For whatever it's worth, I would like to get in last.
Okay.
If then that makes, I would like to be second to last. Then we have this awkward standoff of who's going last, and then when I go, I step as hard as I can, just to see if I can get it to tilt. Is it balanced well? Is it Like, how does this fucking thing function?
So, do you guys remember Back to the Future where he's got the hoverboard?
Yeah.
So, you remember when he steps on the hoverboard, he goes like that? So, when you stomp, it goes, and that's it. It does drift a little, but it doesn't tilt. It's incredibly even.
Okay, so when I do that, then before I duck and go in, I'm gonna do it again and just double check, make sure that's what I saw before I go in and you know, am I frozen?
Yeah.
Your video's frozen, but your audio is not.
Beautiful.
There.
Oh, you're good.
Now you're in business.
That's right. It looks like we're having a slightly choppy stream. Like Jeremy froze at one point in time too, so now you seem to have caught it. But I think the overall stream quality is fine, so we're gonna press on.
Sounds good.
I watch Wyatt, like, playing with his new toy for a second, like, kind of endearingly, and then remember why I wanted to go last, and I want to make sure everybody else is in, and then do, like, a scan down the street, just, like, a quick one, to make sure that, like, is anyone watching us? Is anyone about to follow us? Like,
make a perception check.
Sorry, I don't know where my character sheet went. One sec. Never mind, it's right here.
We still high. Nice.
9.
So you cast your eyes quickly across the crowds and the tumult that surrounds you, and all you see is a mass of people. I mean, you really can't even pick one out from another. As soon as you start looking, all you really notice, you don't see anyone looking at you, you just go, I've never seen anyone dressed like that before. I've never seen the looks like that before. I've never seen anyone, what is that? And then you realize that you don't know, you could have been gawking for 5 minutes, so.
Duck more than I would actually need to, and then get inside.
Okay. Once you're all in, the entire interior is decked out in black leather. The wood itself is also a dark, rich, lustrous kind of wood. You're really not sure what it is or what treatment it's underwent to have this. In fact, it almost looks like it was molded rather than cut. You see no lines or seams or anything like that in the structure of the wood in the interior. Mira gracefully enters and then sits next to Wyatt and looks at all of you, nods. Someone shuts the door, and after a moment you realize you're moving. And you only realize that because you look outside and you see things begin to go through in the small window of the carriage door. Mira she sits up and rolls her shoulders back, and for a brief moment looks uncomfortable, like in a little too honest of an expression and a posture from what you've come to expect from her. And then she settles back down. If any of you have any questions, you're free to ask. If not, then we can continue this ride in silence. Either is fine with me.
Yeah, what's the plan?
We are currently en route to our accommodations. Once we are there, we will get settled in. And this evening we are meeting with representatives from the organization and from the Ministry of Gracious Protection. And we'll see what we can do.
So this,
when we get settled in, are we planning to, how do I put this? You planning to lock us in again?
No.
So y'all don't have an agreement in place yet?
We are meeting tonight to continue our negotiations and to handle a deal.
Wonderful.
But I no longer have to worry about any of you fleeing. Because if you flee, we cannot make the deal. And if we can't make the deal, it is not me threatening you, it is them. So our interests are aligned. So,
Always have been.
so happy to see us agree, Sebastian.
As always.
She reaches back in her little bag and she pulls out a fan, which she opens. And Wyatt, you recognize it instantly. I mean, fans were very common in Eldmore. From Althandis, you guys have never seen someone with a little hand fan like that. They just, Althandis is almost like a Pacific Northwest. So, it would be kind of ridiculous there.
That's a good question. What is the temperature like?
So, it is mild but warm to you. It's a clear day. You guys got there and it was a little bit afternoon. So right now it is clear. The temperature is that perfect kind of just warm enough to let you know you're outside and you're in the sun, but it's not warm enough where you're really ever uncomfortable unless you're wearing too many layers. There's a light breeze that comes from somewhere that it's not coming from the ocean, so you're assuming it's coming from the east, and it's just kind of pleasant. It's not humid. Yeah. In fact, for Celeste, who's native to Althandis, it just seems dry. Once that she's now off the boat.
I immediately covet a fan.
Okay. Mary doesn't seem to notice and or offer one. And
There. It's not.
the carriage continues down its path. You can look outside the window, though, and you see
That's what I want to do.
you see an incredibly busy street. You see shops and businesses of all kinds. You see large shingles in front of all kinds of establishments. You see people hawking wares and waving their hands. Sebastian, you recognize this street and you know it very well. This is in Canyon Way. And it leads north from the docks, and so the area around the docks it's like a gigantic version of Great Port in Althandis. I mean, all the same kind of establishments that typically are around the docks are here, but here they're broader, they're finer, they're more established and fancier is the wrong phrase, but typically there's just more wealth everywhere you look. Everything seems too grand to exist for the purpose that it serves. And once you get above the second or third floor, all of these are residences. You can see people hanging out the windows. You can see people yelling at their next door neighbor through the window. You can see occasionally people hanging sweaters or like large tablecloths and all kinds of things out the window as they chatter to one another. It's a very, very urban, lived-in kind of environment. But the further north you go, you notice that it continues to become more refined. As you pass a couple side streets and you make your way a few blocks to the north, there's a street that goes off to your right, and you can hear the din of trade. You can hear wares being hawked and people shouting to one another, and you can barely see. You look, and the entire street is just packed with people, and they all seem to be coming like both north and back from that area. So you're looking to your east, and there's something over there, some sort of collection of shops and activities that have some sort of a mercantile nature. It's just absolutely obvious. There are more of these large carriages and wagons that are headed that direction, laden with goods, even here in the late afternoon, which would typically just be prime market time, but they're still just taking goods in and out of this area. You continue further to the north.
Mira, will we ever be going there? To the market area?
Oh, we'll see how tonight goes.
Try really hard not to pluck Astra out and send her to go look.
Okay. Yeah, and you please break out with questions as you have them, as we continue forward.
Jeff, did you have something you wanted to say?
Muted, buddy.
You muted, baby.
Forget I have a thing now that mutes me. I'm good with technology. I'm going to that entire ride. I'm going to like act really interested in everything I see, and basically go out one window and then go look out the other just to see if my body weight can if I feel this thing at all shift. The physics of this does not make sense. Even the magic that I'm somewhat aware of, that physics doesn't work in terms of what I've seen before. So this is pissing me off. But yeah, you'll just see me move over and oh, sorry, excuse me, and just go to the next side.
To your utter amazement, it does not tell.
Mother.
I also be avoiding Wyatt, as he's crossing over and back. I want to see what, the average. I know that you said that it's getting more affluent as we keep moving, but I'm trying to figure out who looks like they could move the most unnoticed throughout the streets. Is it someone dressed fairly wealthy, or is it somebody who looks more like an urchin?
Sure, great question. Make a perception check.
I'm great at those.
Yeah.
4.
There are a lot of people outside. A lot of them. And through the small, tiny carriage window, you're basically doing this. It's really hard to tell. People dress a little differently here. In fact, it's varied, yes, but also less traditional. Your outfit, for example, doesn't seem to be unusual at all. You see plenty of women in coats and breeches. You see men in what look like dresses. They're not robes. They're of a male cut in the shoulders and in the body, but they have skirts. You don't know if that is a Dalovirian custom or if they're from somewhere else. But it's not always one or the other. It's about as varied and random as you can make it out. What you do notice is that the fabrics are quite often of an incredible fine cut. But again, you're just, it's going so fast and it's so different. It's just hard for you to tell.
I pretend look-sees. Do I see specifically the men in what look like dresses?
Make a perception check.
I would be honored. That is a 16, so I think it's 17.
You absolutely do. Yeah.
Okay. I would like to make a mental note to try to get one of those, because that looks so comfortable for heat, specifically heat. So I'm making
pockets can be so much deeper.
So much.
Oh
deeper.
shit! That's a great idea.
Expenses in real life.
Yeah, but either way, I'm making a mental note of get one of those before you leave. And then thinking about how that would look under my jacket, and I'm probably pretty good.
Yeah.
He's so fashion forward.
Well, one thing you notice though also is in Eldmore, it's not uncommon for men to have long hair. It's not uncommon in Althandis either. But here, some men have long hair, parts of it are like up, and these like massive like buns or like they'll come up and then like it'll be bound up here and then come down and then part of it be over the shoulder. Some of them have like the sides of it shaved, but the rest of it pulled back, and it's still long down their back. You can tell that from this brief glance, this small tiny window literally into this culture, it seems that self-expression is wide open. The cultural norm seems to be that there's not a cultural norm. Eventually you break into a plaza or a square. It opens up and you look out towards your west, and there is a broad opening, and you can see finally for the first time the massive flagstones that these streets are paved with, and they're all, from what you can see, they're seamlessly linked together to form this beautiful, it almost looks like a cathedral floor or some sort of a church floor, but it's just the street. And you go past a statue, and it is a huge, maybe 30-40 feet tall statue of a woman in robes, and she has her skin is in some sort of a silver metal. She has her hands back behind her and she's looking up, and it looks like flames are kind of running up her arms and then behind her head. But her hair, this long cascading hair that looks as if it's being blown by some sort of a wind that's coming from in front of her. Her hair is made entirely of ruby. It is shockingly red. It glints and glows in the afternoon sun, and it's one solid piece. It is not many rubies. It is one solid piece, and it's got to be the largest. It can't be real. No gemstone could possibly be that real. You know this. This is the statue of Alessandra Rain.
That's what I thought.
Do I know
That's
who
Josh's
that is?
character.
That's very exciting. Do I know who this is?
Make history check.
With disadvantage since I'm not from here, or straight?
Nope.
Get cinematic advantage.
It's
And
important to...
Cinematic advantage.
I
think
jump on
really
top of
hard.
the carriage, and then I go,
I
what
furrow
is
my
it?
brow, and then
she
I
does a
like,
handstand.
Yeah, I
read a
put my
bunch
head
of
out the
rolls.
Blood to the
window,
head.
and I pant like a dog, and I get 11.
We all start parkouring off of everything just
Exactly.
to give ourselves advantage.
So I do want to take this opportunity to give a shout out to Josh Sykes, my good friend, and husband to a poor woman, who is I had to give a little dig because that's what we do. It's how we show love. But he shared this excellent thing from Dungeon Craft, and they shared something from Michael Shea from his book, The Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. And so it's a really cool new rule that we're going to start using in this campaign. And when in 18 sessions, when I let them fight something again, you will see it in action. And it is called Cinematic Advantage. And so be on the lookout for that. It's going to be a really cool new feature. We're really excited about that. It takes the place of flanking, which I never used anyway. And I'm super excited. Basically, the idea is the characters will see something, like say there's a table in the middle of the room in the fight, and one of the characters says, I'm going to jump onto the table and then leap off of it to jump on the back of this person and attack them. And I'll say, that's great. Make an athletics check. If they make the athletics check, they get advantage on that attack. So, cinematic advantage, be on the lookout for that. It's going to be super cool. Thank you, Michael Shea, for creating this rule, codifying the rule, you could say, because I think some people have been doing this before. And also, thank you, Dungeon Craft, for bringing it to Josh's attention. And thank you, Josh, for bringing it to my attention. And at some point, we will tell everyone to buy Josh's minis, but not now. Okay.
It should be noted, too, if you miss the DC, bad things happen.
Yeah, you get disadvantage.
So it's not just cream.
Or you
There's
fall
a little...
prone. Yeah, so there's a risk factor involved, and so we're super...
What What was the rest of that phrase gonna be, Charlotte? It's not just cream. There is.
We're just gonna leave it there.
I'm like, what? I've never heard of this idiom before.
Have you not? Everyone knows it.
It's the cream of the crop.
Jeff, it's a girl
Cream of
thing
the
you wouldn't
crop.
understand.
Or
Rise to the
whatever,
top.
Or the
Thanks
other
for having
part
my
of the
back.
crop.
Okay, so you guys pass by this statue, continue your way up through this large plaza area, and the buildings you can see now are incredibly fine. They are 6 stories tall, made of some sort of golden stone. All of them have trellises and columns and statuary on their tops, and many of them have what look like rooftop gardens or lounges. They are these beautiful homes, and some of them are businesses and shops. But you stop at a large golden building on the east side of this square or this plaza, and large, kind of a deep red fabric, not tapestries, but almost like they're like flags, but they don't have any symbols on them per se, hang from the windows. There is a large umbrella that is set out in front of this the entrance to this place, and you see 2 incredibly attractive people that are standing in the same color of red, that are looking out amongst the crowd, and as your carriage pulls up and slows to a stop, they immediately look at one another and make their way over, open the carriage door, and the man gestures. There's a man and a woman, and the man gestures and says, "Here you are. Welcome to the Bookbinders Club." Mira steps out first, offers her hand, makes her way towards the entrance, and stops and waits as for the rest of you, waits for you to exit.
You say
Pick up
the
my
book-
skirts.
Go.
Did Charlotte freeze?
You guys ask your questions first.
Okay, great. When Mira offers her hand, does the man take it or the woman take it and like lead her out?
I will happily go out first to also offer my hand on the other side, but really not be holding it. I'm still staring at underneath this freaking thing. Any last glances I can get.
Make an Arcana check.
Toads my goats. That is a natural 20. So that's like a negative probably. No, that's 5. That's a 25.
Yeah. So
Very
you look
good.
under, and something just clicks. And you're like, I kind of know what this is. And kind of is about the best you can do because it's so far beyond your capabilities. But the general gist of it, like the physics that you couldn't figure out, you're like, oh wait. Oh, they've got it completely balanced out because the way the runes are set up, it distributes all the weight evenly. And so it's actually not, this is the secret. It's not pushing down. It's not pushing up. It's nullifying gravity. So
You're really disappointed and stand up and help everyone down the freaking carriage. I was expecting something fancy, instead it was just null gravity, no big deal. Ugh.
Alright, so the rest of you get out. Celeste,
What
did
was
you
the
have
name
something
of the
to say?
place that we're at now?
So this, you do see there's a symbol. It's like a B and a C, and it's the Bookbinders Club.
May I also offer my hand in case anybody wants to help me out?
Of course, the attractive gentleman. I won't say he's uncommonly attractive because he doesn't have a beard. And so that's a reference to her other game that you guys should totally go listen to.
That's also
excellent.
just a drag on me personally.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that's just a personal preference from.
But he is a very attractive man, very attractive half elf. And the lady is a very attractive half orc. And so she makes.
There's 2 bad bitches in this house.
She makes no. She doesn't look at you as if like, oh, look, another half orc. Which is what every single time you've ever seen another half orc in your life, they've all been like, you, right?
Spider-Man's cool.
She's just like, you're anybody else in the entire universe. You come out, doesn't even bat an eyelash. And they help you out. And I really got to turn that sound off. Really, really, really got to turn that sound off.
We could also stop talking shit on you in the chat.
I mean, up to you. So like,
as he helps me out,
yeah.
Just to finish up, I would like to take my hat off and like mirror what Mira was doing with it with her fan.
Okay.
That's it.
All right. Do you want to do it exactly as if you were like copying her movement, her motions?
Sure.
Make a performance check.
Hilarious. That's exactly what my plan was. I'm gonna let her do it though. And be like,
19. You do it flawlessly. It is an exact replica of Mira, who, as soon as you look up, she's looking right at you.
never mind. I'm totally gonna do it.
You do it as well?
Yeah.
What are you fanning yourself with? Like your satchel?
Yeah. Yeah. I take it out. I'm really hoping it's not great. Yo, it's not. 7. So I'm like watching both of them, right? And I see this perfect mirror of Diz doing this, and I'm like, I pick up the end of my skirt and use it a little bit as a fan, and that's not working real well. So I like pick up like a blank piece of paper from my journal, and I'm trying to use that, and it's all flimsy. And then I just like tuck it all in and just kind of slink out of the carriage.
To both of your dismay, Mira seems completely unimpressed. She turns and walks into the establishment. They open the doors for her, and she walks inside.
But does she seem annoyed?
She seems completely unreadable. However, you can make an insight check.
No, thank you. Wisdom modifier? I don't think so.
No, I'm good on that. I'm gonna assume she's annoyed. I don't need to check.
John, I'm gonna hop out of the carriage and kind of look around the square and try to access those parts of my mind that know where to go in a hurry out of this balance blocks to and going inside.
Okay. Yeah, east is the answer. You would go east and south. If you could get past Trade Street,
Yeah, but if
you could lose anybody you think.
and if they know which way I'm heading, I'll go a different direction to get to that place.
Yep. The one place you really don't want to go here is north, because the most watched part of the city is to the north of you.
So maybe that's the first place.
Depending on the situation. Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. So you follow them inside.
That's right.
The rest of you go in, and it is unlike, and I keep saying this, but it is true. It's unlike any place you've ever been. But this one is dark wood paneling, large dark velvet curtains, brown upholstered leather chairs. It looks almost like an 18th century gentleman's like society or club, right? Except that there are servants moving to and fro, people that work here. You see guests of all kinds. You see people wearing sleeveless garments. You see a group of women walk by, all in these like very loose silk robes. They have a very dark complexion, long hair, and they're chatting to each other in some form of Volian. for those of you that I think everyone knows Volian.
Yeah.
But their accent's very thick, and you can't for a moment understand what they're saying to one another. You see 3 elves sitting there, all dressed incredibly well, talking to one another. You see a full-blown orc who's standing there having a conversation with 3 individuals, short stature, stocky, and it takes a moment when you realize that they're dwarves. You almost never see dwarves, right? You almost never, ever see dwarves. And these are very broad. They're broader than you expected them to be, and they're wearing these coats, these jackets that are quite well made, but they're covered in pockets, and many of them have these little golden or silver chains that connect the pockets, and it almost looks like they have pocket watches everywhere, which is odd. But it can't be. No one would carry that many clocks with them, so you're not really sure what it is. They're all having conversations, stroking their beards, which are immaculately braided, and you notice that 2 of them have pistols.
Does the orc speaking with them look familiar at all?
Make a perception check.
Famously amazing at these.
True. You're at least famously amazing.
6.
Nothing about that person looks familiar, but I mean, you're kind of just being swept along, and you really don't get a chance to look. There's too many new things to look at, and so you try to fix him with a glance for a second, but then as soon as you start to try to read his markings, he's dressed wrong, for one thing. He's dressed like these people. Like his outfit is Dalovire, and he's standing there having a conversation. He's well groomed, and it doesn't look anything like the people that you typically have dealt with, in the tribes or the clans.
Can I gauge like a approximate age?
Probably mid-50s.
Okay.
It's a more mature, kind of wizened around the eyes. Mira pulls up in front of a long bar, and 2 individuals are standing behind it. One a half-elf woman, and the other a older human man. The half-elf woman leans forward. She's long, dark hair, wearing the same red as everyone else here, with a silver choker around her neck. And she says, "I believe we have some new guests. Hello, pleasure to make your acquaintance. Welcome to the Bookbinders Club. Is this your first time here?" Mira says, "No," and just hands over the same scroll, she hands a new scroll over. Very well. And would you like to go to your quarters immediately? I could lead you there, or would you perhaps like to... Yes, we'd like to go there immediately. Very well. Happy to comply. If you'll follow me. And she steps around the bar and begins to lead you all a little deeper. And it looks like we've lost... Oh, here you guys. Welcome back. She leads you deeper into this establishment. You can see at this point, it looks like at one point they expanded, whoever knows how long ago, into the building next to them, and there's a arched doorway that opens up into a bar, a restaurant. It's hard to tell, but there are tables and laughter, and there are people talking, and there are people smoking. There's like wisps of kind of a silvery gray smoke that kind of comes out of the top of this archway. There are people that are coming into and out of that area in general, but then you continue on past it, and there's a large staircase. She takes you up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flights of stairs. And there, you look down the hallway, and she stops at the end. There are 6 rooms. she turns and looks and hands all the keys to Mira, and she points at each one and says a name. So each of you are assigned a room. She turns and looks and says, "Make yourself comfortable. If you need anything, we shall be downstairs. The callers are inside each of your room, so if you need something, you can use them. Welcome to our club."
Are we in Rain Square right now?
That's right. You're in the northeastern
So this
part of
whole
Rain
place
Square.
was named, and this whole place was named after Alessandra.
Sorry, Diz can mishear
And-
this.
Go ahead.
Diz can mishear this too, but did she say collar like collar or collar
Oh.
like collar? Okay.
Okay, so she smiles at
Um,
everyone.
Excuse me, you said your club. I heard them refer to this as the book club?
Yes. Oh, I'm so sorry. I assumed that if one of you had been here before, all of you have, but I should have asked. Yes, this is known as the Bookbinders Club.
What does that mean?
It used to be a club for bookbinders, centuries ago. And as books are kind of the most important thing in this entire city, it became a rather affluent and well-respected place for society. Eventually, as times changed and bookbinding changed, they needed something new for this establishment, and so they opened it up to anyone who met our standards, and now people from all across the world can enjoy the hospitality of our club.
John, I'd like to do an insight check and see if her book club's similar to my book club.
Okay.
If it's a wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So
Yep.
I rolled a 20 for that.
Okay. There is no hint in her voice, in the way she's speaking, in her body language, that she is insinuating anything, or there's any
They
sort
really
of a,
just bound books.
yeah.
Did you specialize in any type of books or just any books?
Primarily books of magic, of course.
Of course. Is there a library?
We do not store books here.
Of course.
I mean, there are books, of course, in all of your rooms. And there are books in the smoking room. But it's not a library. We only have, my word, a paltry 300 or 400 titles here.
These are magic books
Right.
in our room.
Oh, well, they're not spell books, per se, but many of them deal with magical nature.
Excellent. Okay.
But you can't cast anything from the books, of course, that's not allowed.
Sure. Yeah.
Can I answer any other of your questions before I go back to my duties?
No.
Wonderful.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
It's my absolute
Yes,
pleasure.
you can.
Oh.
Did Mira thank you before?
Thank me for what?
Showing us the way? Doing your job?
Oh, that is... And she just smiles. She does not answer. Mira
Well, thank you.
turns and looks at you. That'll be all.
We each have an individual room.
The half-elf smiles, and she gives you like a little half curtsy, half bow thing, and then goes back to the stairway and heads back below. Yes, every one of you was assigned a room, and she gave Mira all the keys.
I'm gonna lean towards Diz and like whisper, but like clearly loud enough for everyone to hear. Just like you can always, or my granddad always told me, like you can always tell the character of someone by how they treat their inferiors, not their superiors.
You know,
And,
my dad told me the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, service industry. I mean, they work their asses off. and then just blatantly stare at Mira as I like take the key from her.
Charming. Right. So, you understood the woman. These are your rooms. I would expect each of you to get a little cleaned up. I should say we all reek of the sea. And there will be new clothes for all of you. Please change into your new garments. Burn the old ones if you see fit. And if you don't mind, since we're trying to be kinder to one another, if you could then meet me down below in the smoking room when you are all ready. If you need to rest, that is fine. I can go about my business, and we don't need to be at the location until after sundown. Any questions? You're quite safe here. There's nothing, no one can steal anything here. So feel free to be at ease. Wonderful. And she unlocks her own door and walks in. She looks back and hesitates, seeing a look on Wyatt's face. And she nods and shuts her door.
When she shuts her door, I'm going to turn to everybody and be like, I really like that we do this thing where we don't answer her. I really like that. We should keep that up. I think that's like really getting to her. And I'll go into my room.
Celeste, do you know who that statue was that we passed?
I don't. She's incredible.
I thought there might be a chance that you might know who it is. In the second grouping of, we don't call them chosen anymore. What are they called?
Demigods.
The second demigod war, that was the proxy of the god of, wait a minute, is there a god of magic now? Jesus Christ, I'm super confused. Who was Alessandra?
She was a demigod.
But not of the god of magic, because there's no god of magic.
She was not a demigod of the god of magic, no. So, you probably don't even really remember who she was a demigod of. You just know she's a demigod, and she was probably the second most powerful wizard that ever lived after the one who, killed everybody in the world.
Who is still named Grolandus, or is renamed?
Grolandus.
Okay, great. I have a half a memory of this world, and then the other half is blown to shit. So that was, she's probably the second most powerful magic user in the world ever. Her name was Alessandra Rain. This area is named after her.
Well, this is a dumb question, but is she dead?
I mean, I think they all are.
Yeah.
I mean,
I assume.
I would assume so of the Emperor too. So
the legend is that Reyes killed a god and then fled into the heavens. But I mean, that's surely
also the legend is that he killed the lady who was my patron. So, and she's still doing shit. So I don't. I just look at her and say, I don't know how to answer that question. She was a very powerful wizard.
Fair enough. I want to know more about her.
She had red hair.
No shit.
And she was made out of rubies.
I hope you're right.
Alright, and then go into my room and clean up.
You leave and I'm like, when I become more powerful, I'm gonna be Sapphire. And then I go in my room.
Make a blue statue of you.
John, is there a man dress in my room?
Let me see.
If not, I would like to make one.
Yes, there is one.
I'm trying that on.
Okay.
I'm gonna wash, and then I'll try that on and see how it looks with the jacket.
So, They don't fit you as if they were tailored for you, but about as close. Like it would only take a minimal tailoring to make them fit you perfectly. And so you try it on. It's very comfortable, very flattering, and then you put your jacket on over it, and it's a little bit of a stretch. It's slightly strange, but it's also kind of cool, interesting.
That'll be my outfit for this evening.
Okay. And it should go without saying that the garments themselves are incredibly expensive. I mean, they're as high class as you can possibly find. You could walk into an Eldmorish ball right now, and no one would bat an eyelash, except for the actual dress part of it, where they would make
bringing it down more.
I may have missed this before we annoyed her into going back into her room. Clearly. Did she say no one steals from this place?
Yeah, she said you can feel safe and secure. No one steals from here.
Sounded like a dare to me.
Yeah, I'm now gauging the expensiveness of the garments left in my room and seeing how much more space I have in my satchel.
Yeah, so your rooms are broad, spacious. There's a very large window that looks out into the... actually, yours are facing to the north, and so it's like an alley that's just... You can see, like, if you lean out and look over to your left, you can see the square. But they're beautiful rooms. There's a large desk in here. There are books in each of your rooms, and there's a wardrobe filled with clothes that will fit all of you that are of incredibly fine manufacture.
I'm going to wash up, and then with Mask of Many Faces, I'm going to give myself a shape to the side of head, high, long hair.
Okay.
Switch it up a bit.
I'll read some books.
Okay. Make an investigation check.
What check?
Make an investigation check.
I would love to. That is a 4 plus a bunch, so like 4 plus 9, so 13.
Your room is mainly novels. There are some books on magic, but you start to read them and you're just like, oh, I don't understand this at all. It's like philosophy of magic, and it's I mean, you read like 5 pages and you're like, you actually stop and think to yourself, I'm really intelligent. I know I'm really intelligent. I'm really intelligent. I don't have any idea what I just read. But
Well, it's philosophy of magic. It's stupid. It don't make no sense. And that's not on me. That's just like, this guy was just making shit up. Stupid magic.
What are you doing, Diz?
Analytic philosophy.
I'm gonna take my standard, like, oh, it's time to get, like, ready amount of time, pick out the most expensive looking dress, like, spend some time, like, recurling any of the ringlets that have become, like, too sea-tossed. But can I also look at the reading level of any of these books?
Sure. Yep.
Would Jeff has to pee?
Be right back.
Do any of them look like they would be, like, of a simpler reading level?
Yeah, like some of them are novels. Some of them are books of entertainment.
Can I put those on a different section, or like on an empty section of like a shelf, or like on a desk?
Yeah. You put it on the desk, and as you put it down, you see that there's a mirror that's there, just kind of left out, a fine silver ringed mirror that's left out in the center of the desk. And when you just kind of unconsciously make to scoot it away, and it's affixed to the desk itself.
You might be the caller she was talking about.
Are you looking down at it when you're... Because you look down and you can see your reflection. Do you say that while you're looking at it?
Yes.
Okay, you do. And the mirror goes... And then it glows, this blue glow, and shimmers. And then a face appears. Oh yes, did you need something?
Nope, just poking around. My apologies.
No worries, our pleasure. Just a mirror again.
Don't like that. I throw my coat over it.
Stick it in the dryer.
Okay, it's covered. But it's just looking straight up. So you have to like lean over and look into it for it to see you. But yeah, you throw your coat over it. The book that you've selected is there next to it on the table.
If I'm already ready and it looks like the sun is not going down or we're not like ready to like leave yet, I just kind of want to comb over the shelves for like the simplest old books.
I will say that all of you are pretty much salt encrusted at this point. I mean, you've barely bathed in 2 weeks because you've been on a ship. I mean, what are you going to do? And so there are like wash basins in here. There's like about as there's an opportunity here to bathe in a way and to clean yourself in a way that you haven't had in weeks. So everything that you need to do that is also in your room.
Is there any like fancy hotel soap?
Of course.
Yeah, that's going right in the bag too.
Oh, did I miss how much Diz was stealing? Did I miss that?
No, you missed her finding the collar.
I found the call receptionist button on the mirror.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
is it really on the mirror?
So, where are you reading where are you not reading your book?
Oh, like just like on my bed, I guess.
Okay.
And
so the bookshelf is over the desk, and so you saw this mirror that's on the desk as well. And
I ignore it.
like
I know I look handsome. I'll check the bookcase for any other books that like specifically tie magic with like the physical realm, and like try to explain that a little bit better. Because what I see in here is just like some things that makes perfect sense, that is replicable and like repeatable and found through experimentation. The other is just hocus pocus that just accidentally works. So I want to try to figure out if those are somehow married, or if this over here is as big a much bullshit as I expect it to be.
You unfortunately don't find any books that really are in that kind of niche of intellectual inquiry.
Then when I'm done playing around and washing and trying on my dress, I'll go to the smoking room and completely ignore Mira and just look for a book that will hopefully explain that. And I will look as long as I need to.
Okay. Does anyone else want to do anything before you head downstairs?
No, as soon as I get cleaned up and dressed, I'm just going to go downstairs. Did I miss the part? There was a bar or was not a bar in this place?
There is. There's
there.
a large... Okay, so you head downstairs. Wyatt, you head downstairs. You two. Okay. And Celeste?
Like wash my face off real fast and then just get pretty excited about exploring. So just go explore.
Okay. Go explore where?
I mean, I don't know where there is to explore. I just want to like poke around.
Inside this building, or okay. All right. So you guys all make your way downstairs at different times. I would assume that Sebastian is downstairs the first.
Yeah, I'm not going to read or do anything as soon as I get cleaned up. I'm just heading down here.
Okay. Followed by Wyatt or Diz. You guys probably get down there about the same amount of time. And then Celeste. Actually, no, Celeste, you seem incredibly eager and energetic, and you're not like spending a bunch of time getting ready. You're like wanting to explore. So you guys all get down there roughly around the same amount of time. You go into what she called the smoking room, but it is a large restaurant with a... In restaurant, is it like a thing where you're from? I mean, there are taverns, there are inns, there are boarding houses, there are kitchens. This is tables and chairs and yes.
Sorry, finish up and then I'll I have a thing to say after that.
Beautiful.
I don't interrupt your description.
There is a long bar that is what looks kind of like a tavern over towards the end of it, near the back of the bar, so away from the entrance. So the back half of this area does seem to be what looks like a tavern. It's just a little too nice. There's like a crystal chandelier that hangs in that part of the bar that is about 5 feet wide. There are people walking around with little boxes, and Wyatt, when you get towards that area, because there's also the walls of that part of the room are all bookshelves, like all of them. They're covered in books, and the people walking around are offering cigars, pipes, all kinds of tobacco products, and then of course everyone is going to the bar and getting drinks or being served by people that are wandering around taking orders. So we're going to go to Sebastian, and then we're going to go to you.
So I said something earlier, and we kind of just accepted it, but then I got thinking about it. It might get me killed. When I use my warlock ability, Alter of the Mask of Many Faces, I need to know a little bit more about what that means, or what I think that it would mean in this place, right? Like, is that a thing that is like an innate thing, or is it sorcery, or
I would say this:
in nature? Where
how long is your hair now before you do this?
A little bit longer than shoulder length.
Okay, and so you're just talking about using this ability to take this hair off on the sides.
Right, but it does. It is a thing, right? It is an ability, and if it is fine, then I'll do that, and I'll also put my armor on and use Alter Self to change all of my clothes and look like the clothes that I'm supposed to be wearing. But if not, if I think it will possibly get me killed, then I won't do that.
It's a permanent. The first one's a permanent change, correct?
Alter Self lasts.
No, not Alter Self. Mask of Many Faces.
So it allows me to cast the spell Alter Self as many times as I want.
Okay.
Is the
So,
nature of that ability.
So here's the answer. No one will care if you look different. However, lots of people can detect magic. So it's up to you.
I think the nature of what we're doing tonight is a little more tenuous than I want to just fuck around with. So I'm not going to do that. I think that's a terrible idea.
Yeah. Okay.
The end.
Okay, so Sebastian is down there wearing the new clothes, right? And same hair, looking the same. Okay. Wyatt.
Yes. I would love to accept a pipe, and that is something I get very excited about. It has been years, and I will smoke a pipe, sit at the bar, and you said the shelves of books are behind the bartenders.
Mm-hmm.
I'll sit there and ask them if they could retrieve a book for me. That would be really helpful, and I'll explain what I'm looking for and being like, I don't understand anything about magic. Does any of these explain how that works in the physical realm?
So it's like a human woman with kind of like short, very short brown hair, much shorter than yours, and she's got like a scar that runs down her cheek. She's very fit. However, she's wearing the same outfit as everyone else. She's like, okay. Yeah, sure. These are kind of decoration. We can I could, Cedric knows a lot about these books. Cedric, could you help the young? He's with someone. So I would just feel free to explore. Feel free to grab anything you want and read it while you're here. We don't really have them organized in the same way as a more classically scholarly environment, if that makes any sense.
Of course. Thank you. And but if you have a pint of beer or something, I'll take that while I'm perusing.
Of course. Is there a particular quarter that you're interested in?
I trust you wholeheartedly.
You look kind of like a golden ale man to me.
That sounds perfect.
Okay. She reaches down. You see, like, behind the bar, there are casks just, like, everywhere, up and down. She reaches down, pours something, comes up. There's this head of foam that, like, comes up, and it's glittering. It looks like someone crushed pyrite and, like, sprinkled it on top of this beer. And then she molds the edges, like, with a little blade, so it doesn't come off the side, like, around it. And then she says, "There you go."
Thank you. I'll look at it. Does it look like actual beer, or if it's sparkly, do I think it's like kind of magical?
It looks like beer, but there are like these little flecks. It looks like it's somewhere between, like I said, like crushed pyrite in there or a Goldschlager.
Okay.
But if I say Goldschlager, everyone's going to want to throw up. So I was trying to avoid that descriptor.
I appreciate it. Okay. Well, if it's not like this is like illusionary to be like, oh, fancy with magic, I'll drink it, and then I'll try to go find my book that I'm looking for.
It's much thicker and potent than you expected. It's a serious beer. This incredibly deep, rich, almost like a golden raisin kind of note.
Lovely.
Okay.
I'm excited about it.
Right.
I actually barely drink it because I'm really excited about this pipe.
All right. The rest of you, what do you guys do while you're down there?
Look good.
Roll for looking good.
I kind of want to keep an eye out for that orc gentleman that I saw before.
Okay.
And then, do I see any familiar faces if I make my way down to the smoking room?
You see Wyatt walking back from speaking with the woman that I just described, and you see him holding a drink in his hand. You see Sebastian sitting there. Are you sitting with Wyatt, Sebastian, or are you sitting by yourself?
No, I get a porter and then I get up against the wall somewhere.
Okay. And about as soon as you walk in, Celeste comes in right by your shoulder.
Give her a very ladylike curtsy.
I see they had fine garbs, just your size.
Less of an oddity around these parts, I think.
I kind of glance around and I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Crucially, I picked something with a really full skirt because I would like to have at least my cutlass stowed underneath.
Okay. You do see people that have weapons on them, so it's not unheard of. You see, many gentlemen have a rapier. You see some men with canes. You see women with daggers at their hips, some of them. And then you actually see a few women with very small pistols. And Wyatt, you kind of look at them and you realize they're one-shots.
I'm still gonna keep it out of eyesight for now.
Make a sleight of
Maybe
hand
have,
check.
20.
So the way you arranged it and put it on into your actual dress itself is nearly flawless. I mean, someone would have to be literally pressing up against your side before they would notice it. Yeah.
You just hit a cutlass?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so like you've got like a shotgun coat.
It's strapped. Anyway, we're not going to talk about where it is.
No, I put my scabbard like on the inside. It's like almost like a thigh holster at the moment.
I mean, depending on the dress, it's like you're wearing 3 outfits. Right? So,
Sure. That's awesome.
though I'm pretty out of practice with petticoats. Just gonna throw that out there.
You know, you rip a hole in 2 layers of pockets. That's pretty easy access. This isn't my dress.
Okay, and the rest of you walking inside. What are you guys doing?
Just watching. Seeing if there's anybody I recognize. In
Alright.
here.
Diz, go ahead and make a perception check.
Nice.
Yeah.
19.
Excellent. You look around, and sure enough, you do spot the orc. He's over there, and he's talking to one of the dwarves, and an elf with. She has long silver hair. And Wyatt, you actually notice her at the same time as Diz, because there's a brief moment. It's the same color hair as your mother. And you see it out of the corner of your eye, and you're just like, it's not her though. Too tall, too young. But it was, I mean, you feel like someone just stabbed you, and then like you're breathless for just a moment. But Diz, you look over and you see, and she's kind of like, she throws her hair back as somebody says something. It just kind of like goes and comes back over her shoulder, and then she laughs at something that the orc says.
He doesn't look familiar.
He does not.
You said he looked like mid-50s.
Mm-hmm.
Is he smoking anything?
He is not. He's drinking something, and he picks it up, and you realize it's a very large glass of wine.
Purposefully, if Celeste is still standing next to me, I'm gonna like nod to Sebastian, then nod to Wyatt. You have a preference?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Wyatt. And I just like, but my eyes just linger on Sebastian then.
Mm-hmm. I let her go first.
Okay.
Rude. Alright, pick up a drink and make my way over to Wyatt's table, and again, just like kind of linger, notice that Sebastian's like changed his appearance and cleaned up, and like his hair and stuff like that, and sit down.
Okay.
That time, I very, very kind of. I'm probably visibly pissed off right now, and I just like finish my drink, and then just go back to the pile of books I just randomly took with me to my table. Just like going through it very angrily, smoking a pipe.
Light reading?
Yeah. Trying
I
to.
shift through them and look at the titles and stuff.
Completely
What are you looking
random
for?
assortment. Yeah, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. You look nice.
I like nod at his dress he's put together.
Y'all should have told me a long time ago how nice these things are.
I had no idea. Oh, right. They are pretty great.
If you can find him with pockets, aces.
You have pockets?
I hadn't even checked. Does my dress have pockets? That does lift Wyatt's spirit a little bit. Yeah.
Cool.
These are really breezy. I feel like that should have been mentioned to me years ago.
Breaches are a bit barbaric, but you're gonna want them when it gets colder.
Sure. Where I'm from, it never got cold, at least not often. So it'd been really, really nice to have one of these around.
Kind of hike up my skirt a little bit too, and I'm like, and if you layer it too much, it doesn't help much. And I like reveal some of my petticoats and stuff, and I'm like,
you glance around just for a moment when you do that, because if you were in Althanis and you did that,
well, yeah,
the looks you would get, no one gives
it'd be
you
like flashing.
no one gives you an eye at all.
I still feel like a little bit scandalous doing it.
And in fact, the elf that Diz noticed earlier, her dress comes up to mid-calf.
My lady! You're going to cause humors in the gentleman with your ankles out.
Wanton. She's wanton.
Oh no, I didn't actually say that, sorry.
I know you didn't. Alright, so you guys sit there, have a drink, look around. Mira is there, but she actually comes in after many of you have already been there. She looks at all of you, nods, and goes and sits at a table by herself, and orders a drink and a small plate of hors d'oeuvres. And at some point, as you guys are chatting, one of the employees walks over to you and hands you a small slip of paper, and it just says, "You may join me if you wish, M."
Oh, I wanted to until she did that.
And do I have? I'm assuming I don't have like pen or paper on me, so I can't.
You start doing this. You start kind of patting yourself down.
Ladies, what we lose?
And the person, it's a surprisingly young man. Looks like an old teenager. And he says, "Would you like to respond, sir?"
We already have a table. I don't understand why all of us should go. She can come join us.
I'll let her know. And
Right, and I'll look at my two companions who are sitting like, right, like that just makes more sense, right?
Dear,
I glance up and see if Sebastian got a note too, if it just came to our table.
yeah, it goes to Sebastian next.
So as soon as she sits down, I'm just gonna go sit with her.
Oh, that changes things. Y'all wanna go over there?
Not particularly.
Alright, good. And every time that elf does her hair thing, that is gonna be like a distraction, like pretty hardcore for me. So there's
I'm
one of
also
y'all
kind of-
sitting with me that it's gonna be like a
I'm also kind
thing.
of focused in that direction,
Yeah.
for what it's worth.
All right, Sebastian, you walk up and sit down next to Mira. She looks at you and nods.
What do you think our chances are?
I am quite optimistic.
That's good to hear.
You are not.
Experienced a large scale of bad luck in the past year or so. It just seems like the way it's going. So
That's
expect
understandable.
the best, prepare for the worst.
Hard years are hard to shake. But I do sincerely believe that your luck is changing.
Your boss is pretty pretty deep pockets.
Pockets of a kingdom.
Must be pretty interested in at least one of us.
Must be.
You still don't know why.
I am not privy to that information yet. However, it doesn't matter. If he says you are important to me, then you are important to me. And I am aware that my behavior and attitude are challenging for some members of your little group. That's alright. I still value you.
I don't think we're the easiest group to get along with.
Whatever gives you that impression.
I mean, you could be a part of our group. It seems like we're meant to be together.
Sebastian, will you be forward with me?
No, I mean, you're an asshole, just like us.
She actually breaks into laughter. You guys see them talking, and then you see her, she throws her head back and she puts her hand on her chest, and she just cackles. And she... You're not wrong.
Did you do something? Did you fuck up? Is that why you're here? Or was this like a prize?
I let you go the first time. So the former. But I'm making amends.
Oh man.
The Eternal Lord is always one for second chances. It's the third chance that you have to worry about.
And if we get loose, it's gonna be real fucking bad for her. Poor Bean.
If
Win.
So do you guys want to do anything in particular at this moment, or just spend the rest of the afternoon kind of there hanging out, having some drinks? Okay. The evening passes, the afternoon I should say, passes incredibly quickly. It's been so long since you've kind of just been idle. The ship was a different kind of idleness. It was forced. It was stressful. There were periods where you were literally locked in place and you were constantly battling to have some sort of freedom, and there was a give and take. There were battles. I mean, it wasn't a restful experience. This, I mean, only Celeste has really experienced being in a place of leisure where you get to relax and have conversation and incredible beverages and high class snacks and service, and it's an intoxicating environment. And so you look up and suddenly Mira is standing and she looks at Sebastian, and you've had a surprisingly elegant and delightful conversation with her. And then she says, I believe we need to get ready.
Where are we meeting?
We are going to... I'll just be completely honest with you because I believe I can trust you now. I don't want to tell you because you know the city and there is a danger in you knowing where we're going. I will
So
tell
you trust me, but you don't trust me.
Fair enough.
That was a quick contradiction.
Fair enough.
Fine.
I will tell you. We are going to the Braxian Wit.
Do I know about that and how to get around it and out of it?
You absolutely know where the Braxian Wit is. Yeah.
Oh, it's like my spear.
Yep. And of course, the name is a joke. because Braxians have no sense of humor whatsoever. They're the most militant of all the baronies.
You ever been to Braxia?
I have. Luckily, this bar is just a joke. It's probably named to just piss off a particular Braxian that we'll never meet. I certainly don't know. It's not my bar.
Have I been to this bar before?
You absolutely have. Only once or twice. But this is the kind of place where
I've been to a lot of bars in this place.
there are places where high society and low society can mingle. This is one of those places. If you see someone dressed in the most elegant finery talking with a person in rags, it's the kind of place where that can happen and no one's going to ask questions. But it can still cater to both.
Where the rich folks come to play across the tracks.
Yep.
Dig it. Alright. Great. Let's go.
Do you want to go
Are you
gather your
sure?
friends, or should I?
I'll go get them.
I'll see
How
you
about
outside.
how about we meet you outside? Yeah, that's great.
She nods and shares a little smile with you, and then she walks outside.
How long have we been hanging out here? Like hours?
Like 3 hours.
Jesus Christ. Weird. Wyatt, how
You
do
did-
that?
You muted
Have I
him.
found a book that even remotely describes this that I'm looking for? Damn it.
We went to the Crow and Quill and thought it was the library.
Nice.
Great Asheville reference.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Jeff is from here, he'll get this.
Well, that's disappointing. Alright.
All right.
This library sucks!
So you guys are in the middle of a conversation, and Celeste is trying to tell you like a really funny story, and she keeps going on and on and on, and like you're just waiting for the punchline, and she's kind of laughing, and you're like, okay, all right. And then Sebastian walks up, and Celeste, you're hitting that moment, you're realizing that this is not working, and then you see Sebastian come up.
She stopped talking because I'll wait until she's finished.
Wow. Now I see him walking up, and I'm like, I just stop, and I'm like, anyway, I think you had to be there.
Are you ready?
I like put my hand out for Sebastian to help me up.
We're up.
Okay.
I'll wait till Diz gets up and I'll do the same thing to her.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it. I was like, I hold my hand out so that I can help Wyatt up.
You guys,
I do it out of habit.
you have
more
the
than
same
anything
mind
else.
to such an extent in this one instance where it looks like you do this all the time. Like she stands, she offers her hand, you like put it, and you gracefully rise, and as best as you can manage.
On my way out, I would like to like find one of those people walking around, and I'll grab like a cigar from each one of them, and just like have cigar, pipe, tobacco, still have that pipe. I'll be very happy.
They give you that service industry look that it looks
Oh, I
like
tip-
they're
I
all
tip-
like they're like,
I tip.
oh, okay, but like
Yeah, I tip all of them. I don't care.
none of you have paid for anything.
But I will tip them for every time I go to them.
How much do you tip them?
That is a great question. I don't know how rich I am because I've been in a cage for a while.
Probably
I
not so
don't.
rich.
I only have gold and I have silver, so I'll tip them a gold each. I don't care.
Okay. They smile at you and seem to be gracious. All right, so you guys make your way outside. Celeste is waiting. There is it looks like the same carriage that you saw previously.
Do we need to be armored for this? I'm sorry, that was way out of character. Should we get ready?
I'm all ready, and then I just kind of like wear my.
I'm always
As
ready.
we- As we step out, I just want to take like one last look at this guy who doesn't look anything like my dad, but kind of looks a little bit like my dad if you squint, and then I'll just kind of like leave.
As you look over him, he's looking right at you. gives you this like questioning look, and he goes back to his conversation.
I'm used to getting weird looks. I just kind of leave.
Okay. All right, you guys go back. Yeah.
I was gonna say when I notice them like heading towards the exit, I'll head to my room, get my thing on underneath my coat, and then go out and be like, "Oh, I thought this was like a fancy get up, but no, we're armored."
No one's armored.
Yeah,
oh, no one is.
No,
oh, I'm sorry. I
they're
thought.
night clothes.
Didn't strike that.
I just have my sword on me.
Yeah, everyone's still wearing the same fancy outfits they were wearing earlier.
Okay, then never mind. I'll leave with them.
Okay.
Yeah, I considered trying to put chainmail under this, and figured it would be just a fucking nightmare.
Okay, so
I'll also help Wyatt into the carriage, same way that I helped him off of the...
I was gonna ask.
It's amazing.
Alright, so you guys get into the carriage and it takes off once again, this time back into the square and then east. It goes through a smaller street and then you cross what has to be the largest street you've ever seen. I mean, it is at least four times as wide as the widest street in Althandis. And is still bustling with activity, even though you look outside and you realize it is now dark. The sun has set here, and since you've been inside. You make your way east, and again you see more of that golden stone, large, incredible structures all around you, and you begin to go through not a maze of streets, but this one goes straight, this one angles a little bit, then you go back to the south, and you kind of pretty soon you lose your way, except for Sebastian, who is just like, you know exactly where you are. You look out and glance, and this isn't your part of town. You didn't come to the Myriad unless you needed to come to the Myriad, but that's where you are now. So after 15-20 minutes, you come to a stop. And you get out into a small but fairly open area. It's like a triangle of a courtyard. And there are statues, not nearly as large and grand as the one to Alessandra, but it's a row of statues of men all dressed in armor, which strikes you as unusual. You really didn't expect that in this city of magic. And they're all wearing like dark armor, and they're in a line, and then there's another statue, and these are all like life-size figures, and this person is standing a little bit taller than everyone else, and he's looking down at them, and he has one sword and no armor on, and he's just staring at this line of these men in dark armor. It's a strange scene. But it kind of dominates, even though it's off to the side of this little triangle square plaza. You get off. Mira looks at the. Go ahead.
Any idea who that is?
Make a wisdom check.
11 plus nothing. 11.
I was going to say, I'm going to go ahead and just ask Mira. It's like, do you know story?
Yes. That's Ray's facing down the Black Hundred.
I'm sorry?
Do you guys know history? Where you're from?
I keep telling you I'm illiterate.
Oh, yes, the demigod Rays, the famous one. The army that Vassiana put together when she took Dalovire and used it as her capital for years. When he drove them out of the city, he slew her elite guard, the Black Hundred, by himself. This is a small representation of that feat. He liberated the city. So we're going to be going past this one, and she points at one of the statues and kind of like goes between them and heads to an alley east of it, and then walks into an alley. Like, it's an actual alley. It's narrow. 2 of you abreast could fit down it, but that's about as wide as it gets. All right,
I'm gonna walk past that and kind of in my mind say, where's your statue at? And I'll just keep walking.
You said that to him? Or no, yeah.
We're out of the carriage at this point?
Yeah.
Something trips me.
Yeah.
No, actually, you hear a light, airy, bell-like laughter. Like, it sounds like a woman laughing, like almost on another street, and you can hear it echoing, but you hear it clear and clean.
Black 100, very clever.
I remember you saying we would all know about the demigods, correct? So the rubies was Alessandra Rain.
That's right.
But this is raised.
R-A-Z-E.
R-A-Z-E. Okay. And have we talked about him before?
One of us has met him before.
Oh,
yeah, so
that guy.
Diz, as you walk by and look at him, you're like,
oh,
that
yeah.
doesn't look like him.
He doesn't really look like
I was
that.
gonna say, as I walk by, I would like to think in my mind, they didn't get your nose right.
If you could sense a shrug, that's yeah.
If shrugs could kill.
Yeah,
Drugs
so
could kill.
you do know who Raze is. Everyone knows who Raze is. If you know nothing about anything in history, you know who Raze is. Because the second war of the demigods, Vesiana is probably the other person you would know. She was going to take over the world. She was the chosen of Braytok, the demigod of his authority and power. And she conquered Dalovire, which is unheard of. It's the only time that's ever happened. She took it from the inside. And she had armies, had conquered all the baronies, was sweeping down to the south, was going to... And if she had taken even one of the southern kingdoms, then that would have been it. And Raze had disappeared at that time. And so the story you all know is that Raze he was actually in Rye. He was in the Western Continent. And there are many myths and legends. So he and a select number of other demigods went somewhere in the mountains. Then he came back, and they attacked, and he freed and liberated the city. And that was the turning point of the entire war. So, you make your way down this alleyway and come to a plain black door. It looks like any other black door on this street. It could be going to someone's cellar below their house. It could be a storage room. It could be just a second doorway into one of these residences. Mira comes up to it, and she waves her hand in front of it, and a piece of the door goes and slides down, revealing a hidden window. And there's a face, an old man. Here's what. Yes, what is thee? And she goes, oh, shut the fuck up and just open the door. And then the door opens, and that old man, once he opens the door, he's not so old. You see him, he's actually probably later middle-aged, pretty hale physical form, but when he stoops over and does like this, he looks very different. But then he stands up.
He's putting on an air, like he's trying to make himself look old.
Mm-hmm. And then when he stands up and he says, go ahead and go in. You guys walk down a hallway, a very narrow hallway. It still looks like you're going into someone's cellar. It's only about this much higher than the tallest one of your heads. complete stone. It's kind of cool in this room. You get to another door and you open it, and then laughter hits you. There's still a low ceiling in this room, but there are tables and chairs. There's a small fire that warms the rest of the room up, not uncomfortably. There are people darting to and fro, laughing, and at the end of this kind of broad room, you can see past a entryway, there is another room that looks to be just as wide and just as big through that entrance. Mira turns, looks to you, and says, "All right, this is the place. I will be on the lookout for our contacts. Let's go to that corner over there. Be on the lookout for... Oh, well, they'll know us. We won't know them. Feel free to get yourself whatever you want, I suppose. Are you hungry?" Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And so she goes over towards that area, sits down, and then begins to scan the room nervously.
She seems nervous?
You can make an insight check, but she seems a little more severe than normal.
Alrighty. Well, 12.
She seems a little more severe, a little more sharp, but probably the thing you notice the most is that she looks like she's not trying to hide how she feels from the rest of you, which is the main difference that you get. Like the guard that she usually has, that smooth facade seems to be gone momentarily.
Interesting. Okay.
Alright, so you guys wait there for a while. Someone comes up and grabs an order, and you kind of all mechanically, at this point you're so distracted by where you are and the enormity of what's actually about to happen. You order a drink, and someone comes up and hands you the drink, and you look up, and the person with the tray is a woman, and you instantly realize she's too well dressed to be the serving person that you just ordered from. She's wearing dark clothing, fine, like of an incredibly dark green, but somewhere between forest green and black. She has brown hair with light streaks of silver. It kind of comes in a braid that's hanging over her shoulder. And there's a man with her as well, and he seems average height, average build, average face, kind of completely forgettable in clothing that it's well made, but you look at it and it's not really that well made, but it's also, everything about him is just kind of, you'd probably pass him by.
He's the dangerous one.
She looks at everyone and says, "Hello. Did you order this?" And she just sets the tray down at the little table that's between all of you. "Okay, I know why you're here. So, I suppose I'll just come out and say welcome to our fair city. Welcome back to our employee. And let's take a break." So we're going to take a break. Thanks everybody for being here with us. We're going to have a quick recess, especially since one of us... Are you having technical difficulties? What's going on? Are you just walking around? He's probably making himself an ice cream or something.
He's making himself a hot chalky.
I'm making cookies. My dad texted me. He was like, "I can't get the oven on. Will you help me make cookies?"
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta help him make cookies.
He doesn't know how to press the bake and the start button together. He can't do that, so I'm making cookies.
Need some cookies, Jeff. Gonna need some cookies.
Amazing.
Dave,
We're both vaccinated.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break. Everybody, thanks so much. We'll be right back.
Cool.